Hello, YouTube. You ever looked at your old beige box and just thought it looked kind of boring and maybe it could use a cosmetic fixer-upper? This is my Windows 98 machine, and look at it. It just looks boring. I love this case, but it looks boring. So we're going to fix that with this thermaltake case here. This thermaltake V3 that has the broken front USB on it. I have some components I'm going to stick in here. There's a Pentium III machine in here that I'm going to move over to here. It has all the modern amenities. It has an LED fan. It's got a water block. Fans up top. The power supply mounts on the bottom. It's black. Which means I have some black peripherals to go with it as well. I apologize for the lighting, by the way. I have a burnt out light up there. I have a black floppy drive that I pulled out of a Dell. It's an NEC floppy drive made in the Philippines. And I have a black Samsung CD burner that I pulled out of a Dell as well. So we're going to stick those in there, and it will look modern, apart from the floppy drive, but it's black. That's good enough. We're going to stick everything in here and pimp this Pentium III. Okay, I've got a lot of this case stripped out. I'm going to use this case for another board, I think. I might put my net top board in here. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it has a space for a 40mm fan that I need to put in there. So I got to buy one of those and stick it in here so it can actually ventilate properly. Although I know that 40 is not going to do a damn thing really, but cooling is nice. One thing I forgot about this case is that it doesn't have a typical I/O shield, as you can see. As you can see from up here, it's actually screwed in. Shows how nice the old I/O shields were back in the day. But this means I'm not going to be able to put this I/O shield in the thermaltake case here. And what I ask of you guys, if you guys have any of the like traditional I/O shields lying around for this particular layout, it's serial, parallel, USB, and PS2. If any of you guys have any of these I/O shields lying around, I will gladly pay you money to send one to me, because I could really use one if I can't find one. Anyhow, guys, let's continue. I'm going to take the board out. Yep, I went and got a desk lamp, so we got the most amateur lighting in the world. So let's take a look at the hardware that's going into this machine. Here's the FIC motherboard, which was probably made in between 1999 and 2001, somewhere around there. Up here is a 733 MHz Pentium III with a Cooler Master heatsink on it. That's a ball bearing fan and still works perfectly. 128 megs of RAM on one stick. In the I/O shield part, I showed you this before, but you got PS2, USB 1.1, 2 serial ports, and a parallel port. No onboard audio at all. Simply because onboard audio back then was horrible, so it wasn't ideal. And some boards just didn't have it. This one was one of them. Got an AGP slot, 5 PCI slots, and 2 ISA slots. And there you have it. And it has one fan connector down there. And there's your connectors for front panel stuff. It's all nicely labeled, just like the modern boards are. There's your IDE controller. You get 2 of them. You get a floppy controller, and you get some dip switches. And I'd have no clue what those dip switches do, so I'm not touching them. I'm guessing they set IRQ. Maybe they set IRQs or something. I have no idea. Maybe. I don't know if any of you guys had one of these FIC motherboards in the past. Maybe you could tell me. I see a sticker. What's this say? Oh, it's a Phoenix BIOS sticker. Phoenix BIOS, whatever that is. Let's see if I can find a model number of this board anywhere. Wow, look at this. Looks like they have a overclocking sort of a dip switch thing. You can pause that to read it. Cyrix. Look at that. Cyrix. Oh, wow. Looks like that's a map to something. I don't know if that's for the dip switches or what. I can't seem to find a model number of this board. Oh, wait a minute. This might be it. M99CO3. I don't know if that yields any more clues about this board, but it has a 20-pin power connector. No CPU power, got powered off of that. And it's got a battery that I probably should change one of these days. It's a CR232, like most of these are. Has an IR header right there in case you need infrared. Back when people actually used that for Palm devices and such. There's your Intel 440 chipset. Yeah, there's not much on this board. What's on the back? Anything? Ah, made in China. So it was a cheap board back then, I guess. Then again, everything was made in China in the 90s too, so. The solder work looks really nice though, so there you go. That's a late 90s, early 2000s era motherboard. Socket 370 Pentium III. What else do we have here? We have a Seagate hard drive. This is a 40 gig drive. It's one of the slimline ones that looks like it's a bleed off of Maxtor stock, because I have a 10 gig Maxtor hard drive that's exactly the same as this. We got a Sound Blaster CT. We got a Creative CT 3600, which is a Sound Blaster All32. I don't have any Sims for it yet. Got an NVIDIA Riva TNT 264 card for graphics, and a really nice LAN card. It's a Parallel Tasking 2 3-com card. It's a really nice card. It's been I remember these being very reliable back in the day. So there you have it. This is what I'm going to put into this case here. So without further, oh yeah, we have this power supply here. It's an Enlight power supply, which I think came with this case back in the day. Those are the voltages there. It's a 300 watt power supply. And it has a lot of options for back in the day. It was very compatible with boards. It had a 20-pin connector. It also had the P4 connector, which I didn't need, but it has one more thing. It has this half AT connector, which is very strange. I think this was used for certain AMD Athlon motherboards back in the day, so they put it on here. It's pretty compatible with boards, so it's a nice power supply for vintage machines like that. That's going to be mounted on the bottom of that case, so let's get to it, shall we? Well, that motherboard fits in here very well for being so old. Look at that. Looks beautiful in here. The only thing it lacks is an I/O shield, so I would definitely appreciate it if any of you guys had one of these or at least if you know where I can get one, just point me to it. I'd definitely appreciate it. I'm going to have to somehow ground the USB and the PS2 to the case, probably with, I don't know. I might just leave it as is until I can get a shield, and just be careful. That works as well. So, I've got the CD burner and the floppy drive in there. Now I just got to put, oh god, it's dusty in here. I should clean that up. Got a fan in the back there too, so I just got to plug everything else in. Alright, look at that. Got everything in there nice. Now I just got to make sure the hard drive LED is plugged in the right way. Check it out. I replaced this big old awesome PC speaker with this little thing on a wire. that amuses me big time. So yeah, there we go. Got the Seagate hard drive in there. Got the fan for the hard drive plugged in. I used all the old IDE cables, which look like this case looks like a mess. This way, it's gonna it'll look even more like a mess when I plug the ATX connector in. There you go. It barely reaches. So it looks like we have a successful computer here. I had to flip this power supply upside down so that this connector would actually reach, but I don't think it's going to matter too much because there's vents in the back of it. and that's where the air usually comes in. Alright, so I'm going to make sure the hard drive LED is plugged in right and all that stuff, and then we'll do a demo of it starting up and everything. Alright, we have a nice black monitor, a black keyboard, and a black mouse, my foot, and the black Pentium III. Let's boot her up. There you go. And that little tiny speaker adapter works, it beeps. Windows 98. I got an HP keyboard here, made by Chickeny. It's a nice rubber dome. And a Dell mouse, which is probably made by Logitech. No, it's just a Logitech mouse. Okay. They use these on Dell computers as well. There we go. And we got Windows 98 all ready to go. Let's log in here. And there you go. That's how to pimp your Windows 98 machine. Put it in a nice case with some black drives, and there you go. I thought this would be a fun idea, so thought it'd be fun to put it into practice. The only thing it needs is an I/O shield. So I'll be on the lookout for that, and if you guys could be too, that would be awesome. Anyhow, there you have it. And this board still has that problem where it won't shut itself off sometimes, because when running Windows 98 you gotta hold down the power button and shut it off from time to time. Nice thing about this old case is that an I/O shield does sort of kind of fit in here. So the board will probably hold it in better, but you can actually kind of fit one of the modern I/O shields in here. You can kind of shoehorn it in there. You can make it work. So I'm probably going to reuse this case. It's not going to go to waste. So there you go. That's what's going to happen with the old case. This is what happened with my case with the broken front USB. It became a nice Pentium III case. Anyhow, guys, that's pimping the Pentium III. Hope you enjoyed the video, and have a good one, everybody. Ciao.